Are you thinking about planning a cruise along the West African coast or just want to learn what it's like? Learn from our experience as we discuss the ports and what we wish we knew before booking this trip. Hopefully, these insights will make planning your trip easier. Hello, and welcome to our channel. We are a recently retired couple and we're traveling throughout the US and around the world. Africa's cruise scene is relatively new, but it's thriving thanks to its stunning beauty, its rich culture, the amazing wildlife. But before you set sail along the African continent, there are some things that you should know. Now, we booked this cruise when we were on another Norwegian cruise. It was a transatlantic cruise, and I didn't do the research. I wish I'd done it, but the internet on board the ship was very limited, so it made it tough. So we decided to wing it. We stopped at the Canary Islands. Check out my earlier video about the Canary Islands, and then the African ports of Dakar, the Ivory Coast, Sao Tome, Angola, and Namibia. Now, don't wing it like I did. Plan ahead for the best experience or decide beforehand if this is something that you even want to do. In this video, I will cover a few key points. First, doing proper research, which I didn't do. Safety concerns, challenges with infrastructure, dealing with limited activities, and of course, costs. Finally, I will show you what we did in each port. So, were these ports ready for passengers? And most importantly, were we prepared for this adventure? There's a lot to get to, so let's go. Research. When it comes to booking a cruise to West Africa, many travelers are often feeling overwhelmed and underprepared. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of information that's available. Really was not a whole lot out there for YouTube videos and other information. So I think it's important to learn a little bit about each port, even if you wait to get on the ship, if you can just go to those cruise port talks. And then the cruise lines are doing a really good job, I think, now, which they didn't do decades ago, where they're actually putting up information about each port before you arrive there. So you at least have some idea of activities you can do and safety and getting on and off the ship. Next is safety, which was huge. So don't assume because a cruise line is going to a port that is safe just because they're docked there. While some African countries, just like many other places in the world, have some security challenges, but there are some places that were tourist friendly or at least were a lot more safer. Please check your country's travel advisories. I know for the US, we have the US State Department, so check those to see what the safety issues are for that particular country. And you should do this for any port that you're going to. The next area is infrastructure. Now, you would assume that if you invite people over that you're ready for them, but yeah, not so much. Many of the ports along the eastern coast of Africa, where a lot of people cruise a lot, those are ready for prime time. But many of the West African ports were really not ready. They were still developing, but I think it will improve as the cruise demand grows. Many of the facilities were not modern. Transportation was lacking. We actually had a small group of 4 people who took a taxi. You get off and people are like, taxi, taxi. And they took one of those at one of the ports, and the taxi driver got lost and they missed the ship. So there was no airport nearby. They had to go to another country to get their airport, fly from there to a major hub. I think they went back to Dubai, went to Dubai or somewhere, and then had to come back over just to meet our cruise ship at another port. So the infrastructure is very lacking. So even if you get stranded, just trying to get off. Many the cruise lines in the countries that we're going to are trying to invest so that there is better infrastructure in the future. So hopefully it'll be a more smoother experience. Limited activities or excursions. Because of some of the concerns I said earlier about safety and infrastructure, there were very few options if you didn't book an excursion through the ship. Usually we would do we'd do it ourselves, or would do independent tourist companies like Buy a Tour or Get Your Guide. But those were scarce. And the ones that I did see, excursions that they had, the reviews were not great. People were getting stranded, vehicles were breaking down, safety was a concern. So that was kind of sketchy and frightening. There were also there was not a lot of variety of excursion that you can take that were available. And the passengers that booked the excursions through the ship they were often disappointed because of the cost in relation to the experience that they received. Speaking of costs, it was expensive. Oh my gosh, most of the excursions on average, because I've taken excursions through the ship as well, but these were like, starting out at $180, $200. Just for example, a 4-hour trip to the beach, and this 4 hours including your transportation there and back, It was $200 per person. So a family of four going to the beach for a couple of hours was $800. And it was heartbreaking because a lot of the ports really had some beautiful beaches, some nice areas that what I would love to have done, unique experiences, but it just, the cost was so prohibitive. Just know that before you go. Now, I'm going to share what we did in each port. But before I do, if you're finding value in this content, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate your support. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We've just docked in Dakar, Senegal, and we're leaving the ship now. It looks like a very industrial area so far where the ship comes in, where it docks at. And so what we're going to try to do is go over to the ferry to Goree Island and do an hour or two there, then get back on the ferry and get back over here. So not quite sure how this is going to work because from my research, you need to have your passport to get on the ferry to buy a ticket, and they took our passports. Okay, so we left that little industrial part. We just kept walking, and now we've merged onto the street, the regular street, and I see a lot of cruisers ahead of us now, so I think we're going the right way. So we just came through. They just asked for our ID, not our passport. So at this part, we're supposed to buy our tickets, and the lady told us to come over here and get change from this guy. So yeah, I don't know. See what we get. It's shaky. Woo, this is chaos. So we went and got the change. Exchanged our money with this other guy. Now we're in this line. The guy was saying we need to pay the tax. So I guess you go over to this line, pay the tax, you get on this line and pay the ticket. So hopefully Kevin just paid the tax, which was $500 whatever. And then now he's in this line. Hopefully we can get a ticket. Hopefully we have enough money left to get the ticket. I don't know. Just got off with the ferry. It took about 20 minutes to get over here, and now they're loading, so it's about 10:30. And we're going to walk around for about an hour, and then hopefully get back on the 12 o'clock, so make sure we get back in time. We left the ferry area and made our way to one of the most important buildings on Goree Island. This was one of the sites in Africa that was a trading post which housed Africans who were going to be transported to other places in the world to work as slaves. It is a World Heritage Site that's been visited by many famous world leaders. I wanted to book a tour for this, but I read that the museum was closed on Mondays, so I wasn't sure if we would be able to get inside. It was closed when we arrived, so we walked around the side to see where the door of no return was located. But this is the door where they would exit out, and they call it the door of no return. It's the last place where they would step foot on the country or the continent of Africa. And the slaves were taken here to all parts of the world and sold. So this museum houses what would have been their last place here before they left the continent. We had some friends on the ship that took the tour, and they did open the museum up for tour groups. So I would have been fine if I had taken the tour. That was the only one I was interested on this particular cruise. So that was good that they did open the museum up just for those guys so they could see the inside. Overhang, it's gorgeous. So we stayed about exactly an hour here on the island. Walked around a little bit, took some pictures, bought some stuff, walked by the museum. I couldn't get in. Here's the ferry coming back. We're taking the ferry back. It's 11:30. So head back to the ship. From the ferry back over here to the ship, it's about 25-30 minute walk. And then
to get the ferry, by the time we did all the different exchanges, and sales tax and whatever else, it was €20. So not bad to go to Goree Island.
Good morning, everyone. We are in the ship just docked in Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, and I don't have any excursions or anything planned for today. We had planned on doing the complimentary shuttle that takes you from the ship over to, I think, the city center or the market or something like that. So anyway, just an opportunity just to get off the ship. But they're not ready for prime time because the shuttles are late. But I did see a parade or a cavalcade of police motorcycles coming to the ship. So interesting. So we'll see what happens with this day. So we're finally outside. It's about 9:33, and we waited a little bit. The shuttles were supposed to start at 8. I don't think they started till about 30 minutes ago, and you can see the line here. But they do have some tents for us to have some shade. So it looks like they're going inside of each shuttle bus and disinfecting it. They took us to a shopping mall and a local market. We had a police escort, but the passengers felt very safe with the escorts. The mall was very nice with many upscale shops, surprisingly. The market had some wonderful handcrafted items. So, glad they got the tender. Not bad. What about 10, 15-minute ride over? Okay, Kevin said 20. I'm not sure. But anyway, we're here. And then people are asking if we need a taxi. We're just going to walk in the city, though. Okay, so we got out of the crowd, or not really crowd, the group of people who had gotten off the last tender, and we're here in this little area. And here they speak Portuguese, this particular island. So, like I said, not well developed, but we'll try to see what we can see here. So it looks like we're in some type of market area. Guess where the little shops and things are at here. So we're heading back to the ship, back to where the tender dropped us off at. And not a whole lot to do here. Hopefully they will be able to ramp up their tourism, because it looks like the city could really use the money coming in here. So hopefully they will be able to do something. Okay, so we walked back to where we were dropped off by the tender, and then over here looks like some type of fort. I'm thinking this is where the museum is at. So we're inside of the National Museum, and it was €5 a piece. Hopefully get some nice pictures, some good of the view from up here. This morning we docked in Luanda, Angola, and with this particular port, you can't walk through the port to get to the city. You have to take a shuttle, and the shuttles were complimentary. As you can see, the shuttles were not very big. The line was very long, so we waited to get off the ship. So we docked almost 2 hours ago, and we're just getting off the ship. The shuttle buses were taking a long time. Fortunately, people get very upset about it. I'm just going to go with the flow. So we just got off of the shuttle, and we are heading towards the city, and we'll see how long it takes. It said us a little over a mile, about a mile and a half to get into the city. So we'll see what we get. So we're gonna walk over here. So far, the weather seems pretty nice. It's overcast, so it'll be like in the 70s. And welcome to Angola.
So we walk along this little path. It's like a little red bike path, and we're right along the water. So we're going to try to go over there. I think that's where that fort is at that I want to try to get to. But this is a little nice little area here along the waterfront. So we walked along the waterfront here, back over this way. I don't know if you see our ship way over there in the distance. It took us about 30 minutes to walk from where they dropped us, the shuttle bus dropped us off at, to this little shopping center. And then back behind it, I think it's the fort. So I'll try to do that if we can. Okay, so we're back from our walk, just really down the along the waterfront there, and we stopped at the mall. And I was going to go up to the fort, but we just spent a long time standing in line trying to get money out just so we can get in that cafe, buy something so that we could get internet, because we haven't had internet in a while. And just wanted to let our family know that we were okay. So we did not do the fort. And it looks like across here there is a little market over there. But looks like it's a nice sized city. And something I guess you can check out to do. Okay, going to get back on the shuttle and head back to the port.
This morning, we docked in Namibia, our final port of the trip. Like many of the other stops, it was a pretty industrial area. I really wanted to book the sand dunes tour through the ship, but at $360 for the two of us, it seemed a bit steep to play in the sand, so we skipped it. We were told it was about a mile to get to the city center, but of course we went the wrong way. There were some lovely houses that we saw along the waterfront. On the bright side, we decided to grab a taxi, and the driver took us to a lovely cafe. This charming cafe also had great Wi-Fi.
I must say, though, this has been one of the more nicer ports that we've been to on this little West African cruise. So everything's nice and clean, people friendly. Definitely has a German influence here. You can see in the buildings.
After our cafe stop, we headed back to the ship. We both really liked Namibia and agreed that we would love to go back someday. Our 21-day cruise through the Canary Islands and along the west coast of Africa came to an end. What an adventure! So, are African ports, at least along the west coast, truly prepared to welcome cruise ships? According to industry experts, maybe. um, while many of the ports are really trying to make progress to get their ports up to accept a large number of cruise passengers, they still have a long way to go. And hopefully they will be able to do that, because it is a really beautiful continent. A lot of the countries have beautiful beaches and coastlines, and I could see a lot of things that they could do that would be wonderful for people to experience. So hopefully they will be able to do those things. Now, were we prepared? No, not really. I wish I'd done more research before we booked this. And even after we got off, we booked it through the cruise line. Before I paid my final deposit, I wish I'd done more research. But we've been going to so many places. And this year we are slowing down a lot more. So hopefully I will be able to put the more time and energy into the ports and places that we're going to do more research. And because of the issues that I discussed earlier, we were not able to take advantage of the ports. So if you didn't do an excursion through the ship, there were very few options available except for taking the complimentary shuttle and going shopping. I don't like shopping, so that didn't appeal to me, but I got off and did it anyway, just so I could get off the ship. And they did have the police escorts for those people who had safety concerns. So I do applaud to Norwegian for that. So before you book your African cruise, make sure you do your homework. Because I think with a little bit of knowledge, preparation, and maybe a whole lot more money than we spent, this could be the adventure of a lifetime. If you've been on an African cruise or plan to go, please share your experience below. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe, because I'll be posting a video next week discussing other things that we were not prepared for on this African cruise. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, everyone, and safe travels.